So this is the idea of neuroplasticity. Some of you who have been reading my blogs will probably have heard me mention this as well. In the past, they used to believe that the brain was a fixed structure. If any part of your brain got damaged, that was the final thing. There was no way you could change it, and you had to live like that until you die. But they've begun to realize that actually the brain is very flexible, very plastic in nature, very changeable. And there's so many things we do on a day-to-day basis, there's so many experiences we have on a day-to-day basis that causes changes to the structure of our brain. And so the idea is that the neurons in the brain, the more you do a particular activity, the neurons form a network to support that activity until that activity becomes automated. So if I was knocking on my table constantly for 3 days, after a while, my brain will build a set of neurons up to support that activity of knocking, and it becomes automated. That's what happens when people become pianists. They practice scales for a long time. After a while, they can just do it automatically. So anything you do repeatedly, whether it be thinking, any thinking patterns you use, any behavioral patterns you do, any structure, any patterns you do. Think about when you first started learning to drive. You couldn't find anything. You were in the car. There was just too many things to try and find. You can't find the brake, the gear, which one is the clutch, which one is the brakes. And it would have made you anxious at first. But now you get into the car. That's supposing you've been driving for a while now. You get into the car and everything is automated. You just put the steering, everything. You don't have to think about it. Sometimes you even get into the car and you reach your destination and you never really think through the distance at all. So by merely practicing the action of driving over and over again for a long time, you build up a network of neurons that gets stronger with each practice, therefore making that particular behavior automated, easy to access. And so anything you repeat, for example, if you start thinking about a particular worry, you worry over it so many times, after a while it just becomes easy to remember that particular problem. And this is just a picture of a movie of neurons connecting to each other and disconnecting and building networks. I hope you can all see it. Okay, I just moved that away, right? How does this relate to agoraphobia? You see, if your brain registers that something is dangerous, because it needs to be able to recognize that thing in future, the brain does a lot of work to make sure that there's a network of neurons supporting that memory. So you see a dangerous animal, the brain alerts you that it's a dangerous animal. It has to do that. How does this relate to agoraphobia? If you think about your own example, that experience of passing out, it becomes something that it seems difficult to forget. It becomes a big threat. And you think over it so many times. What happens is your brain has registered that experience as a dangerous, near life-threatening experience, and it's built a set of neurons to support you protecting yourself. So once you enter a zone where that threat might be coming up again, the brain will trigger a set of reactions to create a sense of threat in order to get you to do something to try and protect yourself. Now, if you then carry on and do something to try and protect yourself, which is the maintenance factor we're talking about here, the brain builds that network of neurons to connect to that reaction that you take. And after a while of doing that same thing, it will be the same pattern, or you can see the cycle we drew. And this is why those cycles start to become very next to nature. It just becomes what you do. After a while, you feel like this is you. After a while of doing it, you start to feel like you can't see yourself doing any other because it just feels like this is you. So really what I'm saying here is each time we react to the idea of being in a threatening place, the idea that something dangerous is happening to me or is about to happen, the brain strengthens this network of neurons. So the network of neurons relating to that experience becomes strengthened, because the brain is thinking you need to be kept safe, so you need to be carrying out an action that will keep you safe. If you see a lion in the street, you won't think twice. You just have to run, because the brain has connected the lion to a major threat. Hence, what's happening for people with agoraphobia is that the brain has connected whatever is their threat as the major threat, almost like the lion that they have to react to. But the good thing about this is that because of the way neuroplasticity works, it can be broken down by learning new behaviors and practicing them repeatedly, just like you would practice driving a car. You want to learn a new way of reacting to the problem. After a while of reacting in a different way, what starts to happen, and this is what I've experienced time and time again with a lot of people I've worked with. After a while of repeating this new way of behaving,